Welcome to a brand new episode of the Post Game. I am your host, Davion, and I'm joined by Matt,
What up?
Oronde,
What's poppin'?
and Lillian.
Yo,
And today we are back talking in our Let's Talk NFL series, talking about the Buffalo Bills. So, like we start all these podcasts, we talk about how do we think they will do, and what is their high, what is their low. So, what do you guys think the Bills are going to accomplish next season? This season,
12 wins max. I would prefer their floor of 8 wins.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think 12 is a good ceiling for them. They should win this division or be in second
I agree.
at best.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I definitely think there'll be one or two. So, do you guys think they have done enough over this offseason to be able to get over that hump, which is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yes and no, because they have a little bit of inner turmoil with the whole Stephon Diggs situation, and they also have the seventh toughest strength of schedule this upcoming season, one behind the Jets, by the way. And I don't know. They have, a high bar to keep up with and get over. And they drafted pretty well, but I want them to fail so bad, just crumble from the inside and go back to mediocrity. You weren't strong enough for the bright lights, man.
Right.
Man,
That's how I feel about it.
I don't think. I mean, they didn't add much, but they did draft one of my favorite players in this year's draft, in Dalton Kincaid, who I think they'll use a lot as like a slot receiver. I think that he's gonna be in running for offensive rookie of the year. And
Right.
I mean,
They
it doesn't
picked up
really
an
much
they
because he
picked
could
up
play
an
2 minutes and do it, but they've got like guaranteed comeback player of the year in DeMar Hamlin.
oh, easy. That's free
I mean,
money. But they also
oh,
picked up a really underrated cornerback from Oregon State. I
oh yeah,
wonder if
they
they're going
did.
to use him or not.
Right.
I hope they do.
I mean, this team is basically the same. You add Kincaid, who's a good piece. You get Von Miller back. You get Leonard Floyd in free agency. Was probably their only big move in this offseason. I mean, they don't really need a lot because this team is good enough to win a Super Bowl, but obviously they haven't made it yet. They just got to get past Mahomes. But like, if we look at this division, offensive wise, they besides like the receiving core, they probably beat every team out in every position, in my
They have
opinion.
the most random running back room now.
But if you look at Miami, you could probably argue the Jets have the best running back room with Brees Hall and Carter. But like they're kind of just like every like team's running back room is just kind of a dime a dozen. They're just kind of random. They have the best QB in the division. They have one of the best receivers. You can argue if Tyreek and Diggs who's better, but I'd probably say Tyreek is slightly better right now. Um, Better tight end room, better O line than all these other teams, better defense, I think, out of all of them. I mean, I don't know what you can go wrong with this team. It's just going to be injuries that kills them.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching the Bills last year. Their defense when Von Miller was playing was
It's night and day.
it was easily the best defense I'd seen in a while. And then he got hurt, and all of a sudden they couldn't stop a fence post.
Right.
It was bad. So I think a lot of that is when they lose their pass rush, their secondary is not like their secondary is good, but it's not good enough to make up for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's football. Somebody's bound to get hurt. Hopefully it's not Von Miller, but they've got too many great defensive players for them to really have an excuse this year.
But
Right.
also, unlike last season, because they faced just about every high-powered offense last season.
They will again.
They will, but it's mostly in the back half of the season where they should be good. So all the games will be great. And I think, okay, so we know how they lost to the Jaguars last season. Shocker of the season.
Yeah.
I think their shock of the season will be losing to Denver, middle of the season.
In
I think it's gonna
Buffalo?
be losing to the Bucks.
In Buffalo.
Wait, what?
No, not the Bucks. No, not the Bucks.
Lillian,
Not
chill,
the Bucks.
chill.
I think
I
because
think the
this
Bucks will
week,
get massacred on primetime.
I think the Bucks are gonna do some crazy shit.
While I
think
do agree
Mike
with that,
Evans-
I don't think this is the game for them to do it.
I think this is the game where Mike Evans goes for like 200 yards because he
Who's
does
his
it almost
quarterback?
every year.
Who's quarterback exactly?
I mean Baker.
Get out
Mr.
of
here.
Baker,
Yeah.
your least favorite person in the league.
It's between him and somebody. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember
Oh,
very much.
Jalen Ramsey. You hate Jalen Ramsey with a
I don't
passion.
like him either. Yeah, that's true. I did not bring it up in the Miami episode though. If no one noticed, no one said anything. I was
No.
surprised about. I thought about calling him out, but I was like, I'm gonna be nice to him today.
wow.
No, you
I
actually
mean-
tried to defend him for a little bit for me.
I did a little bit.
Re-
Easy.
Realistically, yeah, I honestly, Oronde might be right. The Broncos could be like the weird game they lose. Maybe the Jets, but that's a division
Yeah.
game, so that can go either way. But like,
It's either the Broncos or the Chargers.
but that's not.
Pick
But
your
the
poison.
Chargers are good though.
They're a
The
good team.
Chargers are like a good team.
I
The
don't
Broncos beating
have-
anybody's not
I
surprising.
don't have the highest opinion of the Chargers outside of one player on that roster. And that's
Right.
even if the running backs, I don't know, don't go on strike before the beginning of the season.
I saw that. I was like, uh-oh, it might not be a good time for the NFL and their running backs.
Yeah, if they
About,
lose
about to be like
Edgar,
the writers' strike right now. It's like,
Oh,
what are we going to
And
do
the actors
without
strike.
him?
They're both striking right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we want to look at their schedule and go through their
Yeah.
ceiling and floor? Okay.
Yeah.
So their schedule for the upcoming season, we start at the Jets, obviously. Spoke about that.
So the Bills
Uh,
win that.
Then the Raiders.
Win.
I think
Then
they start 3-0.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And then they lose.
At
Say-
home to the Dolphins?
I said
I
I say they
say
lose to Jacksonville again.
That I
Wait,
agree.
what about Miami? What about Miami?
No. I think they steal the home game as
4.
I think they steal the away game as opposed to the home game.
Okay. So you think they
Um,
lose to Miami? All right.
Lose to Miami, not lose to Miami, lose to Jacksonville and lose to the Giants. Thrash thrash New
No.
England, thrash Tampa,
Okay.
lose to
5.
Cincy.
That's a good one.
In Cincy, yeah, they lose to Cincy there.
Yeah. Okay.
Denver's my toss-up game. Then I think they probably
Let's-
beat New York.
Let's say they beat Denver. So that's 6, and then they beat the Jets 7. Let's say 7 wins.
I think they lose to the Eagles and the Chiefs. Those are
Back
two
to
really
back?
good- Yeah, on the road.
I'd give them the edge against the Chiefs because those games are always shootouts.
And also
Period.
after the bye week too, they get a favorable bye week placement, in my opinion.
Right. So
Week 13 is the
Bye week.
best time to get a bye week.
Chiefs
Oh
win.
man. Because I know the Bills beat the Chiefs last season in the regular season, which doesn't really matter because it was so early on. But I think they do lose to Philly because Philly is, to me, has the best roster in the entire league. Chiefs toss up. I'll say the Bills get that though. They beat Dallas. They beat the Chargers. They honestly like 12 or 13 wins. This team should get easily.
Another 13 win season.
Yeah, I think so. Their floor would be like 9 wins.
I'll give them 12 wins. I'll give them 10 to not 10, 11 to 12. I think it's gonna be a lot. I think it's gonna be a harder like regular seasons for them. I feel like the Bills, they're really good at getting their own heads, especially when they like lose football games. Like look what happened. I mean, look at and they're like I feel like their team is like one incident away from imploding. Like Diggs is already 2 feet out of the door. Like his head's about to blow up if they lose another playoff game. So I feel like he's about to be on the way out. And I feel like Josh
Sean
Allen, like whenever like if they don't establish a good running game or a decent running game for him, they will lose every single time. They're running the ball like 40% of the time or something like that right now, which is not effective or efficient enough in the NFL. They got it up towards like 45 to 40% of the time, it would be a lot better. But right now, it's just not. That football team is not clicking on offense. Like, don't get me wrong, they can win shootouts or they can compete in shootouts, but they cannot win football games. Their defense, like y'all said, when Von Miller went down, they became a shell of themselves. And so it completely depends on who stays healthy and who can survive the noise after they lose that back-to-back with Philly and the Chiefs. That's in my opinion. Because I think they will lose both of those games. So if they lose both of those games and then they continue to go downwards from there, they will not have a good football season at all.
Do we see another great season? Obviously, barring injury, do we see another great season from Jordan Poyer? Can he back it up?
Maybe.
I think he can.
I mean, yeah.
So
Going into year 11 is tough, but
that's tough. Yeah. Here's what I'll say though: if the Bills don't at least improve, Sean McDermott might be on the hot seat, and that's not a bad take because like they've literally done like, yes, they made the playoffs, but like it's kind of they're just stuck in limbo. Like they get to like that second round and they always just blow it. So like if that happens again, I could easily see Sean McDermott potential. I don't think he will get fired, but they should maybe consider something like that.
Either OC or something, because I mean their running game is Josh Allen, and that's not okay for your quarterback to be number one.
Right.
They should learn from the Panthers.
Right. I mean, hopefully James Cook can improve and be their number one guy. They also have Damian Harris, who's not a bad running back, who's not a bad option.
He's not a solo back like he was replaced by Ramondre Stevens. So he needs to be he's a situational back. He can get you explosive plays, but that you have to scheme him right.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I'm more curious to see how Micah Hyde bounces back after injury.
Yeah.
I mean, missed almost all of last year, but was all pro the year before.
Right.
All right. So, any final thoughts y'all have on the Bills and their upcoming season?
I think they start hot and then stink it up.
Yeah, I think that's really likely. I agree. I think there'll be a couple wins that they'll sit with them, and it'll be over.
I think they have to win the Super Bowl, bro. I mean, I know I said that last time, but it's like this
or at least get to it.
They have to, man. I mean, like this team is too good to not represent the AFC.
Yeah,
and it's like I get it with like Burrow and Mahomes, who I think are better, but like this team has been talked about so many times as like being the chief destroyer, like destroying the Chiefs, like being the next up, and they haven't done it. So it's like if they don't at least make, I'll say this, if they don't at least make the AFC Championship this year, it's a bust. I think
that or reaching the Super Bowl, they can go on and lose it, but it's not looking good right now for the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and if they ever lose Stephon Diggs, they're sort of screwed because
it's over.
Without Diggs, they have no receivers. And don't bring up Gabe Davis because Gabe Davis is
I don't get
Gabe Davis is Robbie chosen.
Yeah, Gabe Davis had one insane playoff game, and people thought he was like the next best wide receiver two in the league because of it.
Right, and he was like the most mediocre like receiver last year.
Yeah, he
didn't even break 1,000 yards. He's such a great receiver.
He's literally just fast.
Oh my god, he didn't.
No, he didn't. He had like 800 or something.
He had like
836.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing. His yards after catch is even less than Devin Singletary,
which is sad for a guy that's meant to be a deep threat.
Right.
Like you got to be able to catch the ball deep over the middle and run.
And he's lost a fumble too. That's crazy.
Rough.
Well,
that's all I got for them.
We appreciate you guys for listening. Bills fans, let us know if we slandered you guys too bad, but we'll be more realistic. You guys are pretty delusional, but I have been your host, Davion. That's Matt, Lillian,
Go
and
break a table
Oronde.
somewhere.
And yeah, exactly. And this has been the post game. Peace.